right? So this is the next concept that we're going to be learning, all right? We already got to take a look at how to create our items, how to purchase our items, right, through using Reddit checks or using purchase orders, and how to receive the items, okay? So now we're going to talk about how we can adjust our inventory accordingly. Now, for many reasons that you have to adjust your inventory, could be any reason such as maybe you broke some items along the way, or maybe you took some items out, put it on display. But the most reason why you would definitely adjust inventory is due to the market, all right? Especially with the products and services that you, or the products that you sell, right? What if production in wood, like maybe what if the cost of wood went up? That therefore you have to adjust your inventory accordingly, because now wood is much more expensive and it's a lot harder to obtain. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why you would have to adjust your inventory. Second reason would be, again, due to the market. All right, especially if you buy items that especially if it's like something like technology. Oftentimes, right, what we know about technology is that it does go obsolete. It does go, it gets old, right? Because it gets, with the advancements of technology, you're constantly getting new products every single year. So what happens to those products that were made a couple years ago? Again, they were most likely going to be stopping production and they cease to exist. So what you need to do here is that if you still have that and want to retain it as inventory, you have to adjust it according to the market, right? You can't expect to sell an iPhone 8 for, $1,000 when you have the iPhone 13 for $1,000, right? So that's the same thing. That's the same idea here. Is that with time, eventually, they lose value and they don't hold their value anymore as time passes by. So that's what we call lower cost or market, right? And for accounting, we do learn about that, where we have to adjust our inventory according to the market, because we do live in a consumer society where all we like to do is buy products, and we like to try new things and so on and so forth. So if we like a product, right, we constantly are wanting to change our products pretty often. So in this case, that's what we do, and that's what happens when you come across having to adjust your inventory accordingly. Now, there are two methods that you could adjust your inventory accordingly. Is going to be, the first one is quantity. So, for any reason that you need to adjust your quantity, you can go ahead and do so. So, in this case, let's go ahead and take a look at the example here. There are only two ways that you're able to access the inventory valuation or adjust it, right? And that's going to be to go here on your homepage under inventory activities, right? You have the right here, adjust quantity or value right here on hand. You have that one, and then again, if you go to your vendors menu, right, you go to inventory activities, you have it here as well. Adjust quantity and value. So there's only two ways that you can do that. So once you do that, you're going to get this window here, and you have the option drop down menu here to adjust your inventory accordingly. Are you going to adjust it by the quantity? Are you going to adjust it by the total value? Or are you going to adjust both of them? Now, in this case, in this example in the book, I'm only going to show you an example of quantity and total value, but for any reason that you need to adjust both, you do have that option. So in this case, let's show you the very first one, which is going to be quantity. Okay. In this case, it's going to be at the end of the month, so April 30th. Okay, and then let's see. Now, in this case, we need to create an account to adjust our inventory accounts. Now, in this case, QuickBooks, they use what's called inventory variance, okay, which is a expense account, okay? Now, what does it mean to create that expense account? Well, in this case, right, what we're doing is if we're adjusting quantity or adjusting, the total value, right, what we're essentially doing is we are taking a loss because there's nothing we can do. If we buy our inventory items at a high price back in like 5 years ago, right, and fast forward nowadays, it doesn't hold its value anymore because, due to the advancements of technology, right? There's better better products out there every single year. So in this case, right, we need to create some kind of account that represents that we're going to take a loss. And most cases when we do that, it is an expense account. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and type it in here. This is what they call theirs, right? You could have loss due to market, okay, whatever you want to indicate it as. In this case, this is going to be inventory variance, okay, expense account. Okay, you're going to get flagged that, hey, your inventory variance account is an expense account. You can go ahead and click OK. Yes, you know that. And then other things here is you can make your own, adjustment reference number. So in this case, I would even put this, I put inventory adjustment -1. Okay? Whatever you want to call it. Okay? So then now I need to go ahead and adjust my product accordingly. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and adjust my metal picture frames. Okay. So right now it tells me I have 18 on hand, and now I need to adjust it accordingly. Now in this case, right, the book does not obviously match this file because this file is supposed to already have the quantity in there already. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and make my own adjustment. So in this case, I am going to adjust it to, so it says that I'm supposed to have 38 on hand, but I don't. I'm supposed to adjust it from 40 to 38. So in this case, I'm going to look at my parameters and I'm going to adjust it. So in this case, how much am I going to adjust it? Right now, I currently have the quantity on hand. It says that I have 18. But in reality, maybe I took 2 of those metal picture frames and decided to put it on display. So I now have 16 available to sell. Because obviously, you're not going to sell the ones that are going to be on display. So in this case, I'm going to adjust my inventory by 2. Okay? And then it gives you right here, you're going to adjust it by 2. And I'm going to go ahead and save and close. So again, if you run your inventory stock status, now it's going to go from 18 to 16. Okay. What if I want to change my total value in the actual cost? So I click the adjust inventory, okay? In this case, same date, April 30th. Usually happens at the end of the month or usually at the end of the year is when you recognize it, okay? 2, no class in particular, just because, again, I sell to both store locations. So there's not necessarily that there. So let's go ahead and adjust the wood now. So in this case, it tells me that I should have 40 of them at, I forgot to adjust the total value. Okay, so right now, my current total value right now is $200. Yes, that's correct. But now let's say due to the market, right, maybe wood is abundant or they found some kind of technology where they could blend in, right, wood, right, to make it a cheaper product. So in this case, it could say, well, now these are marketed at $180 now. Okay? And what's going to happen is your inventory is going to adjust accordingly. Okay? Okay, so here I have the 200 is what my original value is. Now it's down to 180. So now I can go ahead and adjust my inventory accordingly. Okay. Now once I do that, I can go ahead and run my report on my inventory stock status. And what I'm going to get here is it's going to tell me how much my items are worth now or what they cost me. So in this case, this is the stock status. Okay, so I hit the wrong one. So reports, inventory, and I want stock status by vendor, stock status by item, valuation is what I want. Let's do detail. So in this case, I need to adjust this to all. So now it tells me this. Because I made an adjustment to my wooden picture frame, right? The so inventory adjustment. So then now each picture frame is now gonna cost me $4.50 each, compared to what I originally purchased it at $5. Okay, so that's what you do when you run your reports, is you can find out information like this. Say now that it has dropped again significantly, right? It went from $5 to $4.50, right? And so on and so forth. And then even the picture frames up here for the metal, right? You did an inventory adjustment to say that you have 2 less now, so that now each item is no longer, is still $2.15, but it just dropped the value in the value. Okay. All right. Any questions in regards to adjusting inventory?
No. No.
Okay. So let's see. The next section here is talking about group items. Okay. So that's one of the items that we could create, right? Now, what do group items actually do? Now, it is definitely beneficial for you to use group items if you have bundle packages where you can take 2 items that you sell, okay, and combine them together to create a group item. Now, do not confuse group items with inventory assembly. Inventory assembly, you're creating an item out of the 2 products, where a group item is where you just smash them together. That's it. You're creating a bundle. All right? So you're taking 2 solid products and adding them together and selling them together. Okay? You're not combining the 2 to create a new product. So that's the difference between a group item and an inventory assembly. Okay, so let's talk about the group item first, because we're gonna create a we're gonna be creating a retouching package. Okay, retouching photograph. Okay. So let's go ahead and create this item right here. So again, we are gonna go to items and services. Okay, items and services. Okay, I'm going to create my new item, and this time it's going to be a group item. Okay, so in this case, I select group. Okay, what is this going to be called? This is once again going to be retouching. Maybe it's retouching. Let's see. Okay, group item is 5x7 retouching. So 5x7 retouching. Okay. Now, what is going to be included? Well, in this case, it's going to include the 5x7 wooden picture frame, and it's going to include retouching services. Now, in this case, it's very similar to sales tax group item, right? Where you have to create the items in the first place before you can put them together. Same idea, right? That's the reason why it's called group item, is because you're literally putting one and one together and you're selling together as a bundle. All right. Now again, description. You could say 5x7 wooden picture frame with 1 hour photo retouching services. Okay? Whatever you want to put in there. Okay? Now notice this. There isn't a place for you to figure out what your price point is. So in this case, right, what you have to do is after you create the item, so again, we're going to be selecting, we're going to be selecting 3 hours of retouching. Oh, it's 3 hours, not 1. Okay, so quantity is 3, and we have 1 picture frame. Okay. Okay, so you got 1 picture frame, and then you got 2 hours, 3 hours of the retouching services. So notice this, there is no setting sales price. So what it really essentially is doing is it's combining the 2 values together. So if I sell my picture frame at $9.99, and then again my retouching services are $75 per service. So $75 times 3 is going to be, what is that? $225 plus $10. It's going to be about it's going to be about, $250, roughly $250, right? Now in this case, if I am creating a group item, what I gotta do is I have to adjust it on my actual sales form. So in this case, I created my group item, right? 5x7 wooden picture frame, okay? Or in this case, the 5x7 retouching. And what's gonna happen is I now need to set my price on my actual invoice. So in this case, if I decided to sell, let's pick on Bob Mason once again. So if I decided to sell to Bob Mason, right? He's from the San Jose location. Okay, and let's say I sold to him on the, let's do April 30th, right? We'll just leave that alone. So let's say I said I sell him 1 5x7 retouching. Okay, so in this case, when I do that, it's going to automatically pull in saying this 5x7 repackaging package is going to include 1 picture frame and 3 retouching hours of service, right? So in this case, what it's telling me here is it's got price points. Now, what I have to do is I have to adjust accordingly, right? Now, if my bundle package, right? What's the purpose of having a bundle package when if you set the price points here, right, and you can't change it, right? Why would you charge your customers the same price? In this case, maybe the deal is that if you purchase this package, I will throw in the picture frame for free. So what you can do here is you can adjust the price. So I could say, well, in this case, you get the picture frame for free. Okay, so again, it's going to ask you, do you want to change the, it says right here, okay, do you know that QuickBooks can help you set yada, yada, yada? And I said, okay. All right, but in this case, no, you don't want to save it because you don't want it to override it. But here in this case, right, now it says that now they only owe me $285. In this case, it's not taxable. Okay, so again, 0 tax. So $285, right? You get 3 hours of photo sessions, so it's $95, right? And it is free picture frame. Okay, you have to adjust the stuff accordingly, and this is exactly how it's going to display on your actual invoice, okay? Unless you choose to hide the bundle package. But usually customers like to see what the bundle package is and if you charge them correctly. So in this case, if you said I have a deal where if you purchase 3 hours of retouching services, I'll throw in a picture frame for free. There you go. Okay. So that is using group items. Any other questions?
No.
All right. So let's talk about how to use units of measure. Units of measure. All right. So as we noticed, right, every time we built our items, right, we had that small section for the units of measure. So in this case, I'm going to create an example here of an item, and I'm going to edit this one, all right? And I have to be able to use the units of measure. Well, first off, right, not every product that you sell is going to have units of measure. Now, what is the purpose of having units of measure? Well, units of measure allows you to buy in bulk and sell it as an individual package. Okay? So again, if you're talking about cost effectiveness, the best kind of business or kind of way that you should do this is you should buy in bulk, right? And then sell the individual packages separately. So again, Costco does a good job of this, right? They sell in bulk or bundle packages, right? And you can just open them up and then sell them in your retail store separately. Yes, and that's the purpose of using units of measure. Now, how do I activate that? Because again, it's not necessarily something that is applicable to every single company. If it does work for your company, then you should go ahead and toggle this feature on. Now, where is it going to be? It's going to be under items and inventory. Okay, under company, and right here should allow you to use units of measures. Okay, units of measure, enable or disable. So in this case, I need to enable. All right, so then how do I set it up? Straightforward, right? Am I going to be using a single unit per measure for items? Yes. Okay, so there you go. I set it up. So units, single units per measure. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK and click yes. So then now I'm in my items list, or not anymore. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to go to my items list because now I'm going to start creating items, or in this case, I'm going to start either modifying or creating my items accordingly to reflect my units of measure. Okay, so in this case, it's pretty straightforward in regards to the units of measure, right? If you're buying in bulk, how do you want the customers to see on their form exactly how much you're selling to them? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and select the item 5x7 metal. Okay, 5x7 metal. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and now I have the units of measure section right here. Units of measure. So in this case, when I sell my picture frames, how am I selling them as a measurement? In this case, I'm going to sell one picture frame as each. Okay, so in this case, that means every time I sell a picture frame, it's going to be referred as each on the sales form. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I have to do a new unit of measure. So how do I set this up? So once I get to this window here, right, now it says select the units of measure, right? We're going to do as either a count, length, weight, volume, and so on and so forth, right? In this case, it is a count, okay? All right. And I'm going to click next. And then what I'm going to call it, I'm going to call this each. Okay. And I'm going to click finish. So now I have each. So that means on the sales form, it's going to be measured as each item. All right. Once everything looks good, I can go ahead and save and close. Okay. So that's using the units of measure. Now, when I purchase it from my actual vendor itself, I have to automatically calculate how much it's going to be for each item. So in this case, if you use units of measure and you're purchasing from your vendor as as in bulk, you do need to calculate how much it is going to be in each one instead of, counting, oh, I bought 5 packages of 5 in each one, right? You're going to have to multiply that, say it's 25 each. Okay, so that's just a little downside of using units of measure. Okay, any questions there?
No.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about inventory assembly. So we talked about the difference between a group, right? And now we're going to talk about inventory assembly. So in this case, when you are deciding to create a product in your store, there are a few steps that you have to do when creating your products, right? And the first thing is, well, if you plan to build a product, you have to create your inventory part items first. It's a combination between inventory part and non-inventory parts. Because in this case, right, we talked about what an inventory assembly does. It's where you create a specialized product that's unique to your store, right? So in this case, right, this is a photo session kind of ordeal, but what if I sell special cameras that is, that you're able to purchase from my store? Well, if I have that, I have to make sure that first things first is all the parts that I have to build the product must be entered into the QuickBooks items list first. So in this case, I'm going to be building a camera package, right? That's going to include my camera with a case and 2 lenses, which I already have in my items, okay? But if you don't have them, you need to set these up prior before creating an inventory assembly item, okay? Because it's very similar to a group item where you're building a product, right? And in order to build the product, you need to have your inventory items in the first place to be able to build the product. The only difference is grouping is just putting them together, where assembly is where you're combining them to create a new product. So let's go ahead and create my inventory assembly item first. So I know what are the items that are necessary for me in order to create my inventory, or create my product. So in this case, I'm going to be selecting inventory assembly. Inventory assembly is only eligible, or you're only able to use this in Premier Enterprise and Accountant, right? You do not have this capability to do it in QuickBooks Pro. All right, just a little extra there. So there you go. I'm going to create an inventory assembly item. And what is this package going to be called? And it's going to be called the camera package. Camera package. Okay. Now, what are the necessary things? Okay, so I misspelled camera. Okay, camera package. What is my units of measure? In this case, right, it is It is going to be account, right? All right, but what if you don't? What if it's not an each? What if it's not a pair? And what if it's not a dozen? Well, I could click other. And if I click on other, I can create my new item. So in this case, it's going to be called package. Okay, and my abbreviation could be PKG or PKG, right? For package. Okay, and finish. So that's my units of measure is it's a single package. Now what's going to be my description? Well, my description is going to be camera 1, camera SR32, okay, with 2 zoom lens and 1 case. Okay? And then, so then now, what is going to be, how much is it going to cost you? In this case, right, it's subjective because you need to know what kind of camera it's going to, what kind of camera you're going to use, what are the products that are going to be involved. So in this case, you might not have a cost for this just yet because it's a combination. However, you can set a selling price. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to say, well, in this case, it's going to be, right, my cost, right, I have to figure out what my camera cost is, what those lenses cost, and what the case costs altogether. But in this case, I know for sure that I'm going to sell it for $12.75. All right, and I'm going to charge tax on it. And what is my income account? It's going to be sales. Okay. So now, once you have that, now what kind of methods are you going to be, or what are the materials that you need to build the item? Well, first off, you need a camera SR32, right? And you need 1, okay? And then you're going to be having 2 lenses. Okay. 2. And last but not least, you're going to have your case. Okay. And it's going to come with 1 case. So in here, automatically right here, it gives me my total cost, which is going to be $864. And I'm going to not double up the price, but charge at least $12.75 for this camera package. So in this case, I need to have at least 1 camera available, 2 zoom in lenses, and again, I need to have at least 1 case. All right. Do I have anything on hand? No. Is there a minimum reorder build point? So let's say I need to build at least 1. Okay. And then so on and so forth. Now in this case, again, you do not add any information here because now I need to make sure that I have these quantities available first before building my product. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now I have an inventory assembly, right? I build this product myself. Okay, so let's go ahead and run my inventory stock status to make sure I have enough to build 2 of those items. So reports, inventory stock status by item. So in this case, let's take a look. Cameras, I have 2 cameras. Cases, I have 0. Okay, lenses, I have 5. So that means I have enough to build 2 cameras. I just have to order some cases. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this and order my parts. You need to have the quantities available in the first place before you can proceed to actually building the products. You can't build the product if you don't have the items, right? Straightforward. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say maybe I bought the cases from Wong & Son. Since I bought the lenses from them, I'm going to buy the cases from them. and I'm going to say it's items, and I bought cases. And this tape, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to buy 5 of them, just to be sure. Okay? And once I have that, okay, it's going to be printed, and I'm going to purchase that, let's say, on the 11th. Okay? And I click Save and Close. So let me check my stock status one more time just to ensure I have enough items before I can build my items. Okay, so inventory stock status by item. So this is because I have 2 cameras, I have 5 cases, and I have 5 lenses. So I have enough to build my product. Okay, so what do I do next? Now, in this case, I can select that I can sell that, but right now, let's take a look at that inventory stock status over time. Because right now, my camera package, do I have any available? No, I don't. So in this case, I need to build my product first in order for me to be able to sell it. Because right now, I have 0. So how do I build my product? Straightforward. You have, you can't do it through your inventory center, but the go-to is to go up to, right? If you go to inventory, if you go to inventory activities, you can build assemblies right here, okay? Or you could go up to the vendors menu, inventory activities, and be able to build your assemblies. So that's what you have to do. You actually, after creating the item, you need to now set to build the product. Okay? So in this case, first one is here, an assembly item. What are we building? We are building the camera. So you have to create the item first. So in this case, it's the camera package. Okay? It's going to pull the information down saying, okay, well, you need to have the camera, the case, and the lenses. And it says that you have available on stock is 2 cameras, 5 lenses, and 5 cases. And you have to only need 1 to 2, part 2 to 1, right? So in this case, down below here, I now need to start building my product. Okay, what date am I going to choose to build a product? So let's choose the 15th. Okay, and let's go ahead and choose how many items I'm going to build. Now in this case, I only have enough to build 2 products, right? Because I need 1 camera, 1 case, and 2 lenses. So in this case, I have just enough to build exactly 2 items. Okay, do I need to put a memo here? No. But in this case, I need to build at least, I want to build at least two of these items. So once I've done that, right, everything looks good, I'm going to go ahead and go build and close, right? Now you got that beep of approval. Let's see what happens now if I go to my inventory stock status once again. So by clicking on this, now it says here, I have 0 cameras available. I have only 3 cases available, and I only have 1 lens. Why? Because I took those products to build my product. And then now it's down here below that I have 2 camera packages. Okay? So that means I can go ahead and sell my camera packages accordingly. So again, the criteria here is, first off, you need to create the item to build your assembly. Second of all, you need to see if you have enough items to even build your item. Okay, making sure that your inventory stock status is enough to build the products that you need. Then third is you have to go ahead and build your assemblies and build to the maximum amount that you can. Right? You can't go over because you wouldn't have enough to build 3 of them because you're missing a camera. All right? You can only build to enough. In this case, I only had enough to build 2. All right? Any questions in regards to inventory assemblies? So this is good for if you intend to sell a product that you create in your own company. So again, a baker would be using this type of inventory assembly to, record the sales of their cakes and so on and so forth. All right. Any questions?
Mm, no. I'm just gonna walk out for a bit and go to the bathroom.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
No questions, Lynn.
Oh, okay. Any question?
Uh, I have a question.
Go for it.
You cannot use the parts of the assembly to sell individually. So you will have to update your inventory if you want to sell more cameras.
Oh
Right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So right now, I don't have my cameras,
What cameras?
but
Yeah.
yes, you can if that's the case, right? What if the individual doesn't want the camera package? Yes, you can sell the individual parts separately. Yes. What if that person only wants one lens instead of two? They can purchase from you the separate items, and yes, you can sell them separately.
That would be a custom package.
If they want a custom package, then yes, you could create that as well. But if they just want to just buy just only the camera from you, yes, you can sell it separately.
No, when you were mentioning that if they only wanted one lens.
Yeah, yeah. If that's the case, right? Then yes, you can create a custom package for the individual, or you could just sell them the camera and the lens by itself together.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So again, you could build multiple packages if you'd like. Again, with this package though, the assumption is it's better to buy as a package. It might be cheaper than to buy things separately. Okay. So maybe the camera package is a better deal than buying the camera, the lens, the two lenses, and the case separately. Okay. So yeah, any other questions? Okay. Right. Last section we have in this chapter is going to be inventory reports. So once again, I showed you two um two reports, right? I showed you the inventory stock status. I showed you the inventory total valuation. I believe I gave you the summary to give you the breakdown of the price points of the items that you purchased. Okay, so that's that there. You could even use it for purchases as well. So again, it just depends on what position you are in the company. So if you're going to be running these kind of reports, whether it's an inventory report, you could even look at your purchases. So you can look at open purchase orders and so on and so forth. Purchase by item, purchase by vendor. Okay. And again, inventory can give you. You only have a couple here. You could even print out a physical inventory worksheet. So if you do use QuickBooks, right, to keep track of your inventory, but you do at the same time also want to ensure that your books match your actual physical inventory, you could also print out a worksheet for you to be able to check mark how much items you actually physically have in your inventory warehouse or whatever it is. Okay. So, yes. And oftentimes, you're going to notice that either you're for missing a few numbers and then you have to adjust your inventory accordingly. Okay? But yes, those are the three or in this case, yeah. You got two main inventory reports here, and then again for purchases you could see a lot more, right? You got purchase orders and so on and so forth. Okay. So any questions in regards to chapter 8? All right. If no questions, let's go ahead and dive right into the multiple choice. Okay, select the best answer for each of the following. Okay, so let's take a look at number 1. Okay, which item type should be selected when adding a new item that you buy and or sell but don't keep track of it?
C.
C, non-inventory part is correct. Okay, so again, if you sell a product and you don't really have a means to keep a real good track record with it, use a non-inventory part. Okay. Number 2, okay, if you pay sales tax for more than one agency, you should use which of the following items?
Is it A?
It is A, right? Sales tax group. Okay. Number 3, if your vendor ships more than you ordered, okay, on a purchase order, okay, so basically you got an overshipment, okay, which of the following um, actions would not be appropriate? So in this case, I circled this one because there's a possibility of 2 answers.
How about B?
B is the correct answer in your book. Okay, it says that you could receive the extra shipment using an inventory adjustment transaction. Yes, you could. But in this case, we also discussed that D could be possibly not correct either, because in this case, that's what the question is asking. It's asking what is not the best thing. So again, if you receive an overshipment, you're not just going to recognize it and put it into your inventory right away, right? You have to pay for it. So that's why B is incorrect. Or, I mean, B is an option that you wouldn't do, right? But let's take a look at D. You could receive the extra shipment into your inventory and then send it back and record a bill credit in QuickBooks. So in this case, you receive an extra shipment, right? This is what you're going to do. You're going to receive it, adjust your inventory, then return it and expect the vendor to pay you a credit on that. That is not correct, because first off, you don't receive a vendor credit because they didn't charge you for that extra shipment. In fact, they shouldn't be crediting you at all. They should be billing you. So in this case, D, I think D is the more incorrect way to do this. But again, your book says you could do this, and I don't know why. Okay. Number 4, okay? When setting up a group item, okay, where would you enter the sales price?
Is there a D? Is that a D?
D. Enter in the price in the set price window. Was there a set price window in in setting up group items?
I'm trying to look at it. The group. How about anybody? Help.
Okay. Anybody else want to answer question number 4? Kim? Maribel? Brian? Okay, so in this case, right, the question is asking you, where do you set the price point for group items? Okay, so in this case, if you remember, when we created our group item, okay, let me just open up one that's already created. Group, we're here. So in this case, right, we did the example where we created a group item. Where do you set the selling price? In this case, you don't have one in this window. So where would you have to actually set it up? And in this case, what I had to do was I had to manually create it for Bob Mason, right? So in this case, Bob Mason, if I go previous, whoop, too much. I had to change his price points. Whoa, that's not correct. Okay, I thought I saved it for Bob Mason. Let me look it up in here. Okay, so invoice, right here, 430. So in this case, I had to manually override it in the actual sales form, right? Because in this case, it would just take the two price points and just add them together. But that's not the purpose of a bundle package, right? A bundle package is you're essentially getting it for a little cheaper price, right? So in this case, I had to override it and manually enter it in through the actual sales form itself. Okay. Question number 5, okay? To activate QuickBooks inventory,
D.
let's see. 5 is, yes, 5 is D, right? You're going to select the edit menu and then you're going to select preferences and then click on items and inventory, and then by preferences you're going to click on company preferences. Correct. Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
what's the answer for number 4?
Answer for number 4 is going to be C. You're going to be entering in the items on the actual sales. Hold on. Number 4. Yeah, 4 is C. You're going to enter the group item does not have or does not include a sales price. You're going to enter it into the actual sales form. So in this case, it doesn't have one.
Thank you.
All right, number 6. Okay. The inventory asset account
D.
D increases when inventory is purchased. That is correct, right? Let's see. Let's take a look at the other answers. Tracks open purchase orders of inventory items. No, it doesn't do that. Because remember, purchase orders is a non-posting. It doesn't affect the inventory asset account until you receive the items. Okay, decreases when inventory is purchased. That's not true, obviously, and increases when inventory is sold, and that's also incorrect too, right? You don't have it anymore, so it wouldn't increase it. All right. Number 7, in QuickBooks Pro Premier and Accountant, okay, inventory can do all of the following except
B.
B. for number 7 is correct, right? Use LIFO, FIFO method or anything to determine inventory cost. So this is the part I skipped over just because you're supposed to read this. So in this case, Pro, Premier, Enterprise, and Pro, Premier, and Accountant are the only 3 that cannot do any other costing methods. In this case, they only use the costing method for the average costing method for when subtracting out inventory. So that's probably more the reasons if you are trying to use LIFO or FIFO or whatever reason that you're trying to cost your account out, manually, you would have to do your adjustments accordingly. Only Enterprise has the capabilities to do more and beyond the different costing methods. So LIFO, FIFO, they can do average costing. They can do, I believe there's another one called standard something like that. But it can go beyond the total the costing methods. Now, what does it mean to have a costing method? Well, if you understand LIFO or FIFO, right? FIFO is more or less for grocery stores, right? When you buy your batches of your inventory, right? You tend to buy them in a specific order, right? But the reason you would use FIFO is because your first batch of inventory has an expiration date. So for example, if I bought milk, right? Am I going to sell my newest milk that's going to expire in the future, or am I going to sell my milk that has the expiration date coming up soon? That's the reason why we would use FIFO, because you would tend to sell your first batches first because of the idea that you have an expiration date, right? What's the purpose of selling all your newer batches of inventory if you have an expiration date? Then all the first batches of inventory pretty much is spoiled and it goes to waste. LIFO is in a sense where if you are in a technology company. So for example, if you sell phones, right? Every year there's a new iPhone, right? So Apple, they are most likely going to be selling their latest and greatest models first than their older models, right? Even though they do sell their older models, right? I believe you could still buy the iPhone 11, and I think they're giving away iPhone 10s now, but you can still buy for the iPhone 11, the iPhone 12. But right now, since the latest and greatest is iPhone 13, people are more likely to buy the iPhone 13 over the 11 and 12. Okay, so that's what you would use LIFO for, where you would tend to sell your latest batches first. All right, so that's just a little brief explanation of what costing does for inventory, right? So every time you sell your inventory, how does QuickBooks, or how do we write it off in our books saying that we sold a product? Okay, how much did it cost me to sell the product? Okay. All right, so number 8, okay, which of the following statements is false in regards to purchase orders?
B.
B is correct. Purchase orders that include inventory items are posted to the inventory account. In this case, no, it's false because purchase orders are non-posting. They do not affect any account, whether it's inventory or whether it's you don't get charged for it, so you don't get a bill for it, obviously. So in this case, it is a non-posting transaction. So B is the false statement here. Okay. Number 9. Okay. To display the window used to record inventory adjustments in QuickBooks.
C.
Letter C is correct. You're going to select the vendor's menu, select inventory activities, and then select adjust quantity or total value on hand. Good. Number 10, which of the following is not a report available through QuickBooks?
A.
Letter A is correct, right? There's no such thing as a goods in a process inventory by item. No. Okay. Inventory stock status by item, right? That's the one I've been constantly using. Inventory valuation summary, right? We saw that. And inventory, items quick report. Yes, you can create a quick report on all items. Okay. You just go to reports and click items and then click report. Or you can click on the items list and click quick report. Okay. Number 11. Okay. Which of the following statements is true in regards to recording the receipts of inventory items?
C.
C is correct, okay? You can record a receipt against a purchase order even before you receive the items, okay? Yes, you can, right? Yes, you can, because again,
That's for partial orders.
it's not necessarily for, yes, yes, yes. Right? You can record receipts against purchase orders even if before you actually receive all of the items. Yes, you can. Right? Because you can receive partial shipments again for any reason that the company doesn't ship you all of them at once. Okay? Good. Number 12, okay? When entering a bill for the purchase of inventory, okay? Parts, items, okay? What tab of the enter bills window should you use? So again, there's tabs on the enter bills section. Which tab would you use if you are making purchases of inventory items?
A.
A, you would use items, right? So again, the bills. So let's take a look at that real quick just so you guys can remember. So if I were to go ahead and do a quick bill.
Enter bills.
Yep. There you go. I have two tabs I can choose from. I have the expenses tab, which is strictly only for accounts only. And then I have items tab, which is strictly for items only. So yes, you can mix and match items and accounts together. Okay. All right. Question 13. Before setting up your inventory, okay, it is a good idea to think about what products you will track as inventory parts, because why? Why is it so important to be able to do that?
B.
B is correct. Okay? Because you could use a non-inventory part item if you do not need to detailed reports and so on and forth, and keep really good track records of it and inventory stock information, okay, about certain products that you sell. So again, yes, that is true, right? So that's why I said this before, right? Before you even get started with your items list, what are the products and services that you sell? Okay? Is this something that you sell frequently? If it's not, then you would definitely categorize that as a non-inventory part. But if it's something that you sell every single day, you should best be using an inventory part. Okay? All right, question 14. Okay, you can adjust the inventory by
D.
D, both B and C, right? You can do it by quantity and you can do it by valuation, but you can't do it by the account. Good. So D is correct. Last but not least, question of the day. Okay, when processing a vendor overcharge, okay, what do you not want to do? So this is not want to do.
Is it C?
C is correct, right?
Like,
You do not want to use two separate accounts when recording the overcharges and then refunding the credit to keep the transaction from becoming confusing. No, in this case, right? You just be straightforward and simplify this. And if you do get overcharged, right? All you have to do is just refer to the vendor, and the vendor should give you a vendor credit. And if they want to, I believe you can apply it to the actual bill itself by, acknowledging that you have a vendor credit. Okay, good. All right, that is it for Chapter 8, inventory items, and items